Welcome. This is a briefing on the Thompson fire. I'm District Attorney Mike Ramsey, and our fire chief is
Garrett Scholl.
and common spelling of the last name. And so, Mr. Spencer Grant Anderson, who is shown here, is 26. Orville will be in Butte County Superior Court this afternoon at 3 o'clock, where he is being charged with starting the Thompson fire, and that started on Cherokee Road to the northeast of Orville. He is charged with arson of an inhabited structure, arson of forest land, and arson causing multiple structures to burn. It's also alleged that Mr. Anderson has a previous conviction for a domestic violence related felony known as a strike, which would double his potential sentence should he be convicted. If convicted as charged, he would face upwards of 21 years in state prison. Now, the expectation of this afternoon would be that he would be arraigned. We are asking the court to continue his no bail hold that is currently in place at the jail. And then we would expect him to be back in court on Wednesday to meet with his public defender and set further dates for his plea and pretrial hearings. Basically, the Thompson fire that occurred in the Orville area started about 10:47 a.m. on July 2nd. And I'll let the chief kind of run down kind of the outcome of that particular fire.
Yeah, absolutely. So this fire, as mentioned by the DA here, started on the 2nd of July, roughly in this area. I will point out and zoom into that a little bit later here. The conditions that day were red flag warning, high winds, dry conditions that we've seen here in Butte County for about the 2 months prior to this fire happening. We've had a number of fires that occurred across Butte County prior to this one starting, but this particular fire started in a location that was very open to the weather elements of the red flag warning, spread very quickly up towards the top of the ridge there at Table Mountain, and then laterally across, jumping the diversion dam area into Orville and East Orville area, and then progressed over the next about 8 to 10 hours towards the community of Kelly Ridge. Go back to that community. Community of Kelly Ridge, as you see off to the right here. Efforts by firefighters throughout the day to help contain this firefighter, including a night flying aircraft, were on the incident to keep it out of that community of Kelly Ridge as we went into the evening hours.
Okay, and go to the next one here. Okay. And here's the result of that fire. As you see, we have the red and the green structures here, and I'll let the chief talk a little bit more about that.
The Thompson fire burned a totality of 3,789 acres. We had 26 residential and commercial structures that were destroyed, and additional 8 structures that were damaged. The red structures here are those that are destroyed, 13 of which were residential homes, and the rest were other types of structures as mentioned earlier.
And let's go now, if I can, my technical people up there keeping me on. Okay. There we are.
Wow.
So this shows a little more in detail that area. As notice the area of origin here, if I can get to there we go. Okay, Cherokee Road, most of the people in southern Butte County, Oroville are pretty familiar with that. It is a very rural road that goes up to the top of Table Mountain in Oroville. The area of origin is in this approximate location. What occurred is as soon as, or shortly after that fire started, the CAL FIRE arson investigators responded to that Cherokee Road area. And by the way, this is named, the fire itself is named after Thompson, which is Thompson Flat Road, which is named after the Thompson Flat Cemetery, which is further down in this area. When the officers arrived, they, using their forensic methods, made a determination of exactly where that fire started and started working diligently to determine, was this an arson? Arson by its very terms is a very difficult crime to solve because it burns up the evidence. But in the matter of this particular instance, as is usual with arson cases, the investigators eliminated other types of causes, be it mechanical, be it weather. There was no thunderstorms or lightning in the area, or even utility causes. There was no lines that had been breached, no power lines had been breached. There were 911 callers in the area, and using those 911 callers and some other witnesses, CAL FIRE investigators worked the rest of that day and night to determine that it was a Toyota sedan driven by an unknown male subject that had been in the area, been in that precise area where the fire started at the time it started. The next day, the investigators, with the help of the license plate readers that are throughout the Oroville area, were able to locate the Toyota sedan in Oroville and then identified Mr. Anderson as the driver. Should be noted that starting that day, the CAL FIRE investigators had Mr. Anderson on 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week surveillance, while other investigators with CAL FIRE in partnership with the Butte County District Attorney's Office collected evidence and began building a criminal case, a criminal arson case against Mr. Anderson. So for some 50 days until Mr. Anderson's arrest, CAL FIRE devoted an extraordinary amount of resources, that being 4 to 6 investigators per day were brought in from around the state and to continuously watch Mr. Anderson as other investigators, including those investigators, meticulously built the case. We were confident that if Anderson had chosen to light another fire, the surveillance personnel would have been able to detect and stop any fire that he had. Those investigators had an intimate view into Mr. Anderson's life. They were also using social media to take a look at what was happening. Mr. Anderson on social media of interest about a week before had passed or gotten a certificate from a private firefighting company as a firefighter. He had gone through classes to know fire behavior, what starts fires, what doesn't start fires, but unfortunately, in his view, he could not find a job. So he put up on Facebook that week that he was looking for a job as a firefighter, couldn't seem to find one. And that posting was up that day, July 2nd. Based on the continued findings, search warrants and other cell phone information, the initial conclusion that the area of origin was that it was an intentional human act. And then it was also determined that by the investigators that the fire was most likely started by a flaming object thrown from the Toyota as it drove southbound on Cherokee Road. Indications was that Toyota with Mr. Anderson in it had driven up and around up to an intersection called Oregon Gulch Road, and at Oregon Gulch Road then turned back around, came down, and the fire started on the west side of the road at the bottom of a hill that is there. The wind, seeing it was a high wind, the wind was blowing from west to east. So when the fire started, it ran up this hill, and we have some pictures here in a moment of actually going up the hill to the top of Table Mountain. But the embers went across the thermal diversion pool and started a fire on the other side. So CAL FIRE had quite the fire on their hands, basically fighting almost on three fronts. It was on August 22nd, after we had determined in partnership with CAL FIRE that there was sufficient evidence to go forward, then to do other search warrants, that we gave the green light to contact Anderson and serve search warrants on Anderson, the Toyota, and Anderson and his relatives' residence. They contacted Mr. Anderson on August 22nd. During the service of those search warrants, they located evidence further implicating Mr. Anderson in starting the Thompson fire. He was arrested, he was questioned, and he admitted that on the morning of the fire, he purchased fireworks from a fireworks Safe and Sane, and that'll be up to some semantical difference, with the Safe and Sane kiosk in Orville, a fireworks stand, then went up Cherokee Road to test one of those fireworks by throwing it out his car window. And this investigation, this 50-day investigation, has shown us a number of things. One is CAL FIRE has outstanding arson investigators. They are full peace officers, they're full investigators, and also is determined that if there is a fire, an arson fire, and a significant fire, they will go all out, the CAL FIRE organization, to make sure that people are brought to justice. And arsonists are extraordinarily dangerous folks. If you start one, the chances of you starting another are pretty significant. And so we really enjoyed working with our CAL FIRE partners, and the resources that were given to this particular fire, and later the park fire, were just incredible. And it's not just the number of investigators, but their quality, experience, expertise, and dedication are outstanding. Now, we of course here in Butte County are somewhat jaded but blessed, and to believe we have some of the best fire investigators in the state. And when our local people were supplemented by other great investigators from around the state, this is what happens. These investigators took one small piece of evidence and ran with it. And as a result, this alleged arsonist is now behind bars. We'll get to, okay, Mike.
PowerPoint.
Push.
On the
And as you see, these areas on both sides of the diversion pool were destroyed or badly damaged. That is why Mr. Anderson is charged with the variant of arson, the charges that you have burnt more than one structure, multiple structures. This is the evidence in the search warrant. These were found in Mr. Anderson's car. These are ground bloom flowers, which he admitted that he had purchased at the Oroville fireworks stand. This is what these do. And when something like that is thrown out an open car window to the bottom of a hillside with heavy winds on a red flag day over 100 degrees and low humidity, that is the fire that we get. Here's that fire. Okay. That one. Yeah. Here's the fire, and then its beginning stages going up to the O on top of Tibon. Here is a PG&E helicopter that has been donated for use to
Contract fire with Butte County Fire Department.
Okay. And, okay, I'm supposed to do that. And this is it, okay, this is still, okay, this is still. And most of the people in town have seen this as it burnt past the O and went some acreage on over. But at the same time, it's doing this, it's going up the Cherokee and Oregon Gulch drainage and across the way to, over the Thermalito diversion pool up towards Kelly Ridge. If it had gotten into Kelly Ridge, which is a fairly dense packed residential area, there was every chance that we could have lost some folks. And so CAL FIRE did a remarkable job in holding the line and preventing that from happening. Chief.
All right. Thank you, Andy, for those comments and things about our department. The work that our investigators and fire prevention folks do is extremely tiresome this time of the year in the summer. We've had a number of fires here in Butte County. This is our 8th arson arrest this summer since May 15th here in Butte County, and there's still a number of cases that they continue to investigate of fires that have happened in Butte County. So those people that are out there creating this dangerous act, we will use the resources available to CAL FIRE to investigate the incidents and within the law and prosecute through the DA's office. Let it be known that we are very serious about this type of act here in Butte County and across the state of California. This incident in totality cost a little over $22 million to fight and extinguish over roughly a week and a half. And then right after that, CAL FIRE has been busy with the park fire since, but we did not lose sight of this incident, nor of the individual that we feel is responsible for this incident. So here we are today to show folks what we've done thus far. And I think at this point, we're probably open to questions.
Yes. Question?
Do you want to go first?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, so just so I'm clear, it's just complete irony that he was trying to obtain a firefighter license and then threw the firework out of just like it, a coincidence basically. He's not trying to create work for himself, you know, and like create.
He denied that.
Okay.
That but just the fact that there is that denial does not necessarily make that correct. I
Interesting.
think it is, as you indicated, a rather interesting coincidence that the day or a couple of days before, he is putting up a post that says, hey, I'm looking for a job as a firefighter. The company that he got the certificate from had no openings right then.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was looking for a firefighter's job now.
Okay.
Draw your own conclusion. A jury may draw that conclusion also.
Okay, and then one more question. So he's due back in court on Wednesday and is not expected to enter a plea today, is that correct?
He's not expected to,
Okay.
today usually is the arraignment.
Okay.
He's read the charges against him. He is assigned a public defender, and the court would then, at that point, adjourn to this Wednesday to give him an opportunity to meet with his public defender. Public defender would most likely not want to enter a plea on Wednesday because that public defender would not have received all of what we call the discovery, the reports in this item. They're rather voluminous, as you might expect.
But he's supposed to appear before a judge again Wednesday.
Correct.
Okay, got you.
Okay? Yes?
So just so I'm also clear, I had that kind of that similar connection there. So even though he did go through a certification of a fire program, he was, just so I'm clear, he was curious about how a firework worked and how it reacted in vegetation.
This is what he indicated, was that he had bought, not on vegetation, so make that clear. He had bought these fireworks. I think it was $7 worth of these fireworks. And he indicated to the investigators that he wished to see if they worked. And decided to go up Cherokee Road to where he could find a place, just not to start a fire, but just to see how they worked. And that he couldn't find a place that he felt was appropriate. So he drove back down Cherokee Road, lit the firework, then was going to throw it out the window to see if it hit the road, then would be, then he'd know how that particular firework acted, not necessarily in starting the fire. But of course, the investigator said, well, when you threw it out your passenger window, which was right into a hillside with heavy brush and grass. Is that correct? Yes.
And he passed the certification program?
Yes. Now, we might say, recall that around this time, after the Thompson fire started, and the city of Orville suspended fireworks sales. It was also suspended the fireworks show that was going to be in Orville. And a rather popular meme went out at about that time, attributed to our county sheriff, Corey Honey, which was, "Don't be that idiot." I think that's enough said on that.
Got you.
It sounds like this was the worst scam to try and get a firefighting job I've ever heard. But my question is, do you think it's safe to say beyond a reasonable doubt he's never going to get a job as a firefighter now?
We'll see.
That's it.
In terms of, so these $7 caused over $22 million of damage. What is kind of, I don't know if this is for both of you, what's kind of the next steps in terms of with those damage, or if he'll be held liable for any of that?
He will be, should he be convicted, he will be held liable for restitution for the damage caused. I doubt that since he was unemployed at the time, and will probably be unemployed for quite some time, and if he is convicted and sent to state prison, that he will have much wherewithal to pay the restitution. But he will nonetheless be be charged with that restitution. Okay. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Give me a second here, ladies and gentlemen. Give you a brief. There we go. Get around here. Okay, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just attended the press conference for the gentleman that started the Thompson fire in the beginning of July here in Butte County. Those of you, I saw there's a few people that came in, probably left now, that made some comments. Hello to all those that came in, said hi. So yeah, that was the press conference. It's, let's see, it's 2:02. Got about an hour before the arraignment, this gentleman in court. So I'll be, we did hear Mr. Ramsey state that didn't expect to enter a plea today, but that's typically to be expected, but I'm still going to be attending the hearing nonetheless. It's always important to show up, you know, when they expect you not to be there, that's when they try and pull their tricks, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, expected to be arraigned here at 3 o'clock or sometime shortly after. I think he should be on the normal 3 o'clock arraignments. They shouldn't be taking a break then doing arraignments. It should be its own courtroom. But yeah, that was the press conference. Really shocking to hear that this gentleman trained to be a firefighter, passed his certification, and then what it sounds like in a scam to generate a job for himself, lit a fire with this firework that he tossed out of a moving vehicle on Cherokee Road, that he claims that he was just testing the firework. But don't you have like your own backyard to do that in or something? It's kind of a stupid defense, and another reason why you should never talk to the police. Because jury's gonna hear that, they're gonna, this guy's gonna get crucified. That is the worst excuse I've ever heard. Oh, I was just testing it. Well, no shit. How the fire started now, didn't it? So yeah, he had no job and continues to have no job. So that's the biggest thing I see is the restitution. Where are these people that lost their homes going to get the money if they don't have insurance anyways to rebuild? Because we all know California, ladies and gentlemen, is pulling insurance companies out left and right because they don't want to insure our state because it's such a risk. But I think that's about covers it. I don't think there's many people left in here, but we had about almost a half-hour press conference here now. So that's all for right now. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I will be attending the hearing here shortly and see how that goes. But this has been the cameraman reporting here at the Butte County District Attorney's Office in Oroville, signing off.